with the 1696 Heritage Group, and thank you for joining this group of distinguished elected officials and leaders in business, academia, and historic preservation with this very historic announcement. As we all learned this past summer how Black Lives Matter, today we're going to recognize that Black history also matters. And the announcement today of the investment in the inclusion of Black history in Rhode Island K-12 public schools is not only historic for Rhode Island, but hopefully a model for all public schools across America. So I want to begin this virtual announcement with the honor of introducing the Honorable Speaker of the Rhode Island House of Representatives and one of the original sponsors and supporters of this great effort, K. Joseph Shekarchi. Speaker Shekarchi.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you all for being on the call for this very important announcement. It's really historic in so many ways. I first and foremost really want to thank my good friend for many years, Chris Buchanan, and the Walmart team for making this donation. It's so critically important, and we hope that this is, as Keith said, the beginning, not the end of not only your commitment, but all of corporate America's commitment. So, Chris, on behalf of the House of Representatives, the people of Rhode Island, we thank Walmart for not only talking the talk, but walking the walk, stepping up and writing a check to make this program a reality and to start it for hopefully all of Rhode Island as well as the country. I see we have some of our colleagues on here. I want to recognize Chairman Abney, of course, my good friend Marvin, Chairman of the Finance Committee, Karen Alzati, the newly elected Chairwoman of the Black and Latino Caucus, and of course, my good friend, Chairwoman Anastasia Williams, the Chairwoman of Labor from the House. And when I think of Black history, I think of Stash. And when I say that, I say it as a true affection because that's how we refer to her. She has not stopped talking about this issue. Keith said we all knew about it over the summertime. I knew about it when I got elected because Anastasia Williams would not let anyone not know about it. She speaks loudly and clearly. She is a force for Black Lives Matter and for Black History Month. And at her request, the House of Representatives is going to continue to honor Black History Month until the middle of March because we had a school vacation week, and we want to make sure that we recognize that the entire month. So on behalf of everything that Stash has done, continues to do, I'm proud to join her and the members of the House in this effort. I can't thank you enough. And Keith, when I talk about this effort, I certainly mean you and your wife. I want to wish her a happy birthday, Teresa. And
thank you.
He said earlier that he said every day is your birthday, so I hope he gives you a gift every day. And I've known Keith Stokes from the Bruce Sumlin days when we worked together many years ago, and he continues to always be a leader in the community. Wherever he goes, he's a model of professionalism, of competency, and of advocacy. So thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Keith, for this. We look forward. This is a critical moment in our state's history, and we look forward to not only looking back, because we need to look back so we can move forward and move forward in the appropriate way, in the right way. I mentioned Chairwoman Williams. She has a bunch of legislation in. We are moving forward on that. She's going to pass the first significant piece of legislation in 2021. I think today it gets voted out of committee, and next week it'll be on the floor of the House. We're going to have a press conference about that on Monday. So I can't thank all of you, Chris Buchanan, the Walmart team, everyone who's on this call and who's been involved in this. I see, Speaker Murphy, a good friend and a mentor for many years. So we continue that. We want the House of Representatives always to be a welcoming force and a force of change in a positive way. I thank you all, and I'll turn it back over to Keith and for your next speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Speaker Shekarchi. Now I'd like to introduce for remarks representatives of Walmart who have stepped forward to make this generous investment in inclusive American history. So please join me in welcoming Chris Buchanan, who is Director of Public Affairs and Local Government Relations, and Regine Moore, Director of Global Communications for Walmart.
Absolutely. And good morning, Keith. Thanks very much. And thanks, Mr. Speaker, as well. Always a tough act to follow, I can tell you that. But you did a great job summarizing the effort and the historic effort. And I just want to take a brief moment to thank everyone on this call for all of their work. And on behalf of Walmart, I feel like Santa Claus here this morning. Or I did hear there's a birthday in order as well. So I'm glad to be the bearer of a nice gift to really kickstart this program. And what I mean by that is a $50,000 contribution from Walmart to really, get this effort moving along and heading in the right direction. But again, on behalf of Walmart, we're thrilled to step up and make the $50,000 contribution. But it's really, due to the hard work and effort put behind it from all those folks who are on the call this morning. On behalf of Walmart, we're happy to play a small role in that and continue to. More importantly, this is not a one-time contribution. We want to be a part of the effort moving forward. And I did ask this morning to have Regine Moore on the call as well. Regine is with Walmart as well, and she's doing a heck of a lot of work on behalf of the company in terms of our diversity initiative. So I'll turn it over to Regine to kind of, I thought it'd be appropriate, so you folks could understand where Walmart's coming from a national perspective as well, in terms of the work that we're doing. So Regine, with that, I'll turn it over to you. And again, thanks everyone for putting this together, and very, very thrilled to make the news of our $50,000 contribution this morning. Great stuff. Thank you, everybody. Regine?
Thanks so much, Chris. I appreciate it. Again, I am Regine Moore. I work in constituent relations at Walmart, and I've been with the company now over 10 years. And I've had great opportunities, and I've been a proud associate, but I've never been more proud to be an associate of Walmart as I have been this past year. 2020 was rough, as you all know, from the pandemic and economic challenges, and of course, the social injustices and inequities that have taken place and have often been an ignored thread in the fabric of this country. And it came to a head after the murder of George Floyd. And as a Black associate, I know that the movement that swept this nation, I asked myself, my family, my peers, what is Walmart going to do to step up? Because we have a responsibility. And this past June, when our CEO, Doug McMillon, made an announcement that Walmart wasn't just going to talk about the issues of social injustice, that we're going to step up and make a point of action, it was truly a proud moment. Doug made a commitment that Walmart was going to commit $100 million to organizations that support key systemic areas of education, finance, criminal justice, and healthcare. Not only were we going to dedicate these dollars to support organizations around these 4 key areas, but we're going to create the Center for Racial Equity. There was going to be a team that was dedicated to the daily work of making sure that these dollars were allocated appropriately to these organizations. And then taking it one step above that, we dedicated to understanding how our core business can connect with these issues to create long-standing change. I tell you, after this, I remember getting the text messages and the post on social about the excitement that as a Black associate feeling seen and feeling heard by our organization, that it's not just going to be this momentary message of a town hall, but it was going to be an ongoing commitment to this long-standing change that I know the company, all of us want to see in our communities, but ultimately the nation that we want to see and that we want to live in for ourselves and for generations to come. And we didn't just talk in June, there has been work done since then, where in early February, we announced $14.5 million have been allocated towards organizations from the Center for Racial Equity. In addition, we partnered with institutions like North Carolina A&T and HBCU, where we created Equity and Education Initiative. And it's those few things already, and there's so much more work to do, that gives me so much hope and encouragement that this is, again, as you said, a step forward, but we're not just stepping up, we're stepping in the challenge. And I'm excited today to be here with you all as you all make this commitment to bringing Black history, African American studies, American history as a part of the regular education of K through 12 in these Providence schools, and looking forward to this expanding because it needs to expand. And Walmart is so proud to stand by you and to step with you in this initiative. So thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and looking forward to doing so much more.
Again, thank you, Walmart, on behalf of all of us in investing in Black history, investing in Rhode Island. Chris and Regine, we see you as great friends and long-term partners, so thank you again.
Thank you.
Next, please welcome Teresa Guzman-Stokes of the Rhode Island Black Heritage Society, who will be accepting the Walmart grant investment and will be providing details on the near-term education curriculum development efforts.
Thank you. I think the first thing I can say is thank you. It's a heartfelt thank you. We've been working a long time on this, and the fact that you invest in this is making us feel like this has been important work. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I'm sorry, my screen is doing something weird. In June of 2014, Rhode Island passed legislation creating the 1696 Historical Commission, tasked with developing guidelines for a comprehensive African heritage and history curriculum for Rhode Island public schools from kindergarten through 12th grade. Today, we're happy to announce that the 1696 Task Force, which includes the Rhode Island Black Heritage Society, Rhode Island Historical Society, Rhode Island College, and the Newport Historical Society, will develop the curriculum, teacher professional development, and student learning resources to enhance and support the teaching of history of African heritage people in our state and our nation. I have to tell you, this historic initiative is the first of its kind, bringing the history of African heritage people to its rightful place in American history. Through the generosity of this Walmart grant investment, we will be able to accomplish the following: development of comprehensive learning and lesson plans, launch online teacher professional development workshops and conferences, launch online learning tools, including but not limited to videos, reference materials, virtual exhibits, and Q&A forums for teachers and students. In addition, we're planning to bring African heritage and history directly to K through 12 public schools through a series of virtual presentations where historians and community leaders will present on the many people, events, and locations of note, covering nearly 4 centuries of African heritage and history in Rhode Island. The Rhode Island Black Heritage Society would like to thank Walmart for this grant investment. We also have several other people that we need to thank that have been working on this for a long time, including Speaker Shekarchi, Representative Anastasia Williams, Senator Tiara Mack, and especially our education partners, Dr. Morgan Greff of the Rhode Island Historical Society, Dr. Frank Sanchez of Rhode Island College, and Ruth Taylor of Newport Historical Society. It's been their hard work and dedication to this initiative over the years that's going to allow us to move forward and have this curriculum finally in the schools in Rhode Island. I want to thank you all for attending and for giving us this opportunity. Yes, it is my birthday, and Walmart, thank you. You've given me one of the best gifts I could get.
Thank you, Teresa. And boy, how cool is the smallest state still doing the biggest things in the nation? How cool is that? I now have a great honor to introduce the Honorable Anastasia Williams of the Rhode Island State House of Representatives. She was the original sponsor, the champion of Black history legislation, and she is the lead sponsor of the 2021 bill before the Rhode Island General Assembly. And as Speaker Shekarchi so elegantly said, Anastasia is Black history in Rhode Island. She's making it today, and she's establishing it for all of us. So it's a great honor for me to introduce our great state representative, Anastasia Williams.
Thank you, Keith. I'll take care of you after with that nice gift for that wonderful introduction. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today for this exciting development that will educate the minds and heart of our dear students for generations to come, while also shining a bright light on parts of Rhode Island's history that have been ignored and hidden for far too long. The contributions to Rhode Island's history by African Americans is notable, vast, and should be learned by every student in our schools. Unfortunately, this significant and integral aspect of Rhode Island's history has been left out of our school's curriculum, ignoring a rich and deep past that has shaped Rhode Island into the state we all know today. For years, many of us have sounded the alarm that this crucial piece of our state's long history was not being taught in our schools. We were presented with various reasons and excuses for why the stories of Rhode Island African Americans were not part of our state's curriculum, and too often the reasoning cited was simply lack of funding. Well, today, it's a celebration. We are here to announce that the funding has come, and finally, our students will have the opportunity to learn the true history, the whole history of Rhode Island and the many contributions African Americans have made to Rhode Island and our country. This curriculum will be challenging and will not shy away from the uglier aspects of our collective history, but it will also joyfully celebrate the actions and roles that African American Rhode Islanders have made since they first stepped off the slave ships of Newport in 1696. Their stories, their struggles, and their triumphs will be front and center for our students to learn from, contemplate, and to be used to grow as humane and compassionate individuals who recognize the troubles, hopes, and successes of those who built our state, often at the end of a snapping whip. As we have witnessed over the past year, the connection that holds our society together are fragile and can only remain strong through respect, compassion, and most importantly, truth. The truth of what African Americans actually experience on a daily basis. The truth about the struggles that some of us have to face while others do not. The truth of where we all came from and how we found ourselves living in the state named Rhode Island. Knowing this truth is essential to unite society, and I am very happy that this truth finally be presented to our students so that they may go forth into the world truly knowing what parts of society work for everyone and the parts that sadly still remain caught up in that cycle of intolerance and injustice. And hopefully our students will use this knowledge to create a better society, a society that actually values the life and dignity of every Rhode Islander, regardless of the color of their skin or the language that comes from their mouths. This has been my hope to bring our state's true history to light, and today's announcement makes that dream a reality. I would like to end to thank the 1696 Commission for all of their hard work developing this curriculum, the Walmart Foundation for their generous grant, and all those who have tirelessly willed this African American heritage history into reality. There is much more work to be done, but truth is finally being revealed, and it will teach current and future leaders not only about where we have been and what we have done, but more importantly, who we are and who we want to be as a society in the future. Again, I thank each and every one of you for shining the light on things and this glorious day and opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Williams. As always, well said. Now, please join me in welcoming for remarks one of our newest and dynamic state legislative leaders representing the Rhode Island State Senate, the Honorable Tiara Mack.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Walmart, for the opportunity to be is a the contribution also kind of like the systemic way has oppressed that movement, a social movement started by the death of Trey Martin to the summer of 2020, which caused this country not only to reckon with a global pandemic, but to grapple with deep and hard conversations around race, white supremacy, and anti-Blackness. We haven't yet healed from those fractures of the pandemic and the unjust deaths of young Black men and women and trans lives. But I'm the forever optimist, and I've seen in this past year as our young people marched in the streets, and as a former educator,
watching our young people take hold of the narrative of what it means to stand proudly for Black Lives Matter was an amazing and awesome experience. And I have an abundance of hope. I have hope that in my lifetime, we will see a generation that can not only proclaim that Black Lives Matter, but can honor and elevate the Black lives in our communities. I have hope that the young people of this world will not just be given a more just and equitable world, but that they will see us create that more just and equitable world and honor our past and our histories. Black women, Black trans lives, all Black lives. When we combat anti-Blackness in all of its forms, we all benefit. And I have, again, the audacious hope that our future and our young people is so bright, and that when we put this hope into action and give them the tangible future where justice and liberation are not only just hopes, but they are the predication of our society's fabric. I want to give them something tangible in the fight for its Black liberation. I want to make sure that we give them systems that honor their past, that honor their families, that honor their identities, and that we are proud to give them in the form of policy and in the form of a system that works for them. Whether that looks like passing a living wage, whether that looks like making sure they have affordable housing, whether they have clean, just air, accessible food, where their families aren't disappeared into prisons, but we are disappearing problems like homelessness, food insecurity, and poverty. I want to also give this next generation, through history, blueprints that we can use to view the world through a racially just lens in collaboration with others. We must also show them how important it is to question the systems and not just to uphold them. We need to teach them through our histories that it's more important to lead with expertise of their own lived experiences than it is to lead with the assumptions of stereotypes. And as we wrap up Black History Month in the next couple of days, I encourage all of us to think of ways that we can bring not only the sentiments of this month and our past, but bring into our daily lives, our monthly lives, and our yearly lives the historic accomplishments of the Black community and how we can continue to have Blackness not only in our past, in our present, but also in our futures. Thank you so much.
Got a lot of people.
Thank you, Senator Mack. Outstanding. And now, please join me in welcoming for remarks the Honorable Rhode Island Secretary of State, Nellie Gorbea, who again was one of the early supporters and led the effort of the 1696 Historical Commission to bring us to this day. Secretary Gorbea.
Thank you so much, Keith. At a time when we're facing so many challenges, it really is great to be able to celebrate a new investment in our children's education. And I couldn't think of a better group of people to celebrate this moment than Speaker Shekarchi, Chairman Abney, Rep. Williams, Rep. Alzate, Senator Mack, and Senator Cano. And so thank you to all of you and to the Walmart Foundation for giving us this very, very happy moment, a celebratory moment in Black History Month, but that will go way beyond. And this is a conversation that I've had with my good friends, Keith Stokes and Sonny Guzman Stokes, about how really we need to go beyond the month. We need to really be inclusive in how we talk about our history and our community. Now, I also see President Frank Sanchez, who leads one of our premier educational institutions, and my colleagues in the saving and promotion of Rhode Island history, Morgan Grafe and Ruth Taylor. And I want to say, Walmart Foundation people, there's a lot more of the really great stories to be told that haven't yet in Rhode Island's history. But we're here thanks to the dedication, the resilience of an insanely smart power couple, Keith Stokes and Sonny Guzman Stokes. And by the way, Sonny, feliz cumpleaños.
Gracias.
And yes, I'm here because I had the honor of serving as chair of the 1696 Historical Commission, which kind of started the process going, and which I kind of basically inherited as I came in as a newly elected Secretary of State. The Commission's mission mirrors my own as Secretary of State, which is empowering Rhode Islanders through better understanding of our history and our government. We also got to tackle one of the biggest issues our state is facing today through this work that we're talking about today, which is education. As with most things, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said it best when it comes to education. He said, a complete education gives one not only power of concentration, but worthy objectives upon which to concentrate. That complete education And the ability to see through those worthy objectives are things that Rhode Island students have been denied for far too long. African heritage is a vital part of the fabric of our community, indeed, of our entire country. When you don't include the richness of history in our schools, you limit our children's ability to learn. You deny them that complete education. As I tell students when I'm encouraging them to register or pre-register to vote, we're strongest when we have a variety of backgrounds and opinions in any conversation. That's why casting your ballot is so important. And that's why an inclusive curriculum that teaches complete history of our state is so important. So I was honored to chair the 1696 Commission with the mission of incorporating African heritage history education in all of our elementary and secondary schools. Now, of course, I knew that this was not a job for just one part of government. And so the minute I came in, I enlisted the leadership of Keith Stokes, the expertise of the Rhode Island Historical Society, Morgan Graves, and Ruth Taylor from the Newport Historical Society, and the knowledge of all members of the commission. And I want to thank them today because they also share in the celebration of this moment. And together, we assembled the historical and educational outline that started to define what it meant to have this kind of sustainable curriculum. This curriculum and today's announcement comes at a particularly poignant time. We're re-examining a lot of things as a society right now. We're coming to terms with long-standing inequities. I think we've arrived at this flashpoint because we've been viewing history with blinders on. The foundation of a better tomorrow for Rhode Island starts with empowering our students with a better understanding of our state and our country's history. In short, our healing starts with a complete education. It's been an honor to be part of this work and the effort that brought us here today, and which I'm very excited to see will be carried into Rhode Island's classrooms. And so I thank you for the chance to celebrate and to speak with you today.
Thank you, Secretary Gorbea, so very powerful. Now I'd like to recognize the president of Rhode Island College, Dr. Frank Sanchez.
Great, thank you so much, Keith. Good afternoon, everybody. It is absolutely a pleasure to be joining all of you today for this amazing announcement. First, I certainly want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the Walmart Foundation, of course, represented here this morning by Chris Buchanan and Regine Moore. Thank you for your generosity and your vision for leading up to today's very special announcement for all of us. Let me also thank the leadership and support of certainly Secretary of State Gorbea and Speaker Joe Shekarchi, certainly the exemplary efforts, and it was described earlier as the true champion demonstrated by Representative Williams for her efforts around legislative development. And frankly, you know, all the legislators that are represented here this morning, just seeing all of you, it really is a powerful affirmation of the state's commitment to this important work. And I want to just personally thank all of you for being here this morning and showing your support. And of course, the extraordinary visionaries, the executive director of the Rhode Island Black Heritage Society, Teresa Guzman Stokes, and the 1996 Historical Commissioner member, Keith Stokes. Thank you for all that you have done and continue to do for the state. Let me thank all of you for understanding and valuing the importance of expanding the state's curriculum to incorporate Rhode Island's African heritage. You know, Rhode Island College, as a leading producer of the state's public school teacher, Rhode Island College is proud to join the Rhode Island Black Heritage Society, the Rhode Island Historical Society, and the Newport Historical Society as a partner in this important and extraordinary effort. Through our own Feinstein School of Education and Human Development, I see our dean there, Dr. Janine Dingus-Eason, who's joined us here this morning. We are committed to supporting the development of a comprehensive African American history curriculum for Rhode Island public schools from kindergarten all the way through grade 12. And beyond curriculum development, we look forward to working alongside these committed organizations to assist in developing webinars and professional development that will deepen and further enrich our understanding of African American contributions to the state, the region, and across the nation. Without question, this partnership will ensure the next generation of Rhode Islanders will have an awareness, they're going to have a better understanding, and they're going to have a deeper appreciation of our state's African American history and heritage for years to come. So thank you all so very, very much for the work that you do, and I'll turn it back over to you, Keith. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanchez. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce my state representative of Newport, Marvin Abney, who is Rhode Island House Finance Chair, and again, another early leader and solid leader in this effort. Representative Abney.
Thank you very much, Keith. Appreciate that, and I'm glad to see everyone on the day. This is an incredible time. I certainly want to thank Teresa and Keith for all the work that they have done and still do in being in the public sphere. The African American contribution, not just to Rhode Island, but to the world. They do a great job, great historians. I learn something every time I read this Facebook post, so keep up the good work, Keith. The other thing is I really would like to say hello and thanks to Chris Buchanan and Regine Moore. For I think it was a couple of years ago, maybe 3, that I had the opportunity to visit the Walmart World Headquarters there in Arkansas. And I saw the professionalism that exists within that company. I talked to all the people who were there, and they are great corporate citizens. So thank you so much for all that you've done. But, you know, it's been the incredible hard work of the commission that has kept this alive. And I'm glad to see that partnerships have been formed. This is not the kind of job that one individual or one company can do by itself, but we partnered, it looks like, with higher education and others to make it come true that, you know, children and even older persons like myself can really learn something about our history. I had the opportunity last night to be on another panel, very similar to this, and it was a Sail Newport panel, and it was part of Black History Month, and they brought some world-class African-American sailors to bear in this conversation. And there were 2 young women. When I say young women, one looked like she couldn't have been more than 20 years old, and the other maybe 23, 24, world-class Olympic sailors. One will be representing Canada to some degree in the next Olympic. And listening to the stories of those young ladies, even still today when they go around the world to the different yacht clubs that we were talking about last night, there are still people who believe that or think that they are the help, that they somehow work in one of the restaurants that are there, not realizing that these young women are world-class sailors. And so it was disappointing to hear that, but I saw the strength in their presentation and in their ability to keep going under those circumstances. And it just reminded me of all of the African-American, scientists and doctors and lawyers and athletes who had to go through everything that these young ladies are going through, and still they excel. Well, education is a great part of that. You know, and I said last night, it goes both ways. We've got to educate people who don't understand this, but we also have to educate us so that we will know that you're not alone in having to bear a lot of these burdens, yet excel. Why? Because each generation has to build off of the other. And so it's just heartfelt knowing that a major corporation is helping us put education where it belongs. And my mother used to say that education is something that no one can take from you once you get it. And if you use it right, it can change the whole world. So I'm so glad that Walmart has done this, and I'm so glad that there are now a lot more soldiers in the fight. And at the end of the day, I think that we're going to be okay in Rhode Island. When I got here, I actually found that this was one of the most diverse places I've been, because we're so small and we're all here together. So there's a lot to learn and there's a lot to do in the future. And I want to thank Keith and Teresa for all they do, certainly Walmart and all of you. So Keith, you've got it, young man.
Thank you, Representative Abney. Now it's a special treat for me to recognize Luana Holland Moore. She is the Associate Program Officer for the African American Cultural Heritage Action Fund. and they are part of the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and they have been great ongoing supporters of historic preservation across the nation and here in Rhode Island, and it's just a great privilege to have Ms. Moore with us.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the National Trust for Historic Preservation's African American Cultural Heritage Action Fund, we are thrilled by this good news. And we congratulate the Rhode Island Black Heritage Society on this important recognition. Their decades of leadership continues to change minds and hearts across the region and nation. The Action Fund was honored to have made a $50,000 award last year to help conserve God's Little Acre, a nationally significant African burial ground and cultural landscape. We must always remember that African American history is American history, and by elevating those stories, we help to contribute to that collective narrative that is our nation. We thank the community that is Rhode Island, the Stokes family, and the society, as well as the Walmart Foundation, for leveraging the power of place through education. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore, and thank you, as always, from the National Trust for your support. I also want to recognize, he wasn't able to come, but the Honorable Mayor of the City of Providence, our capital city, Jorge Elorza, another long-term supporter and ongoing supporter of this effort that we're very proud of. It now gives me the great pleasure to introduce my mayor, Mayor Jean Marie Napolitano, of one of America's historic cities of Newport, Rhode Island. Mayor Napolitano.
Thank you, Keith. And thank you for observing the mask rule for your statue in the background. It's one of those things in Newport. I'd like to thank the Walmart Foundation, our General Assembly, and all the organizations that worked toward this resolution to teach education in all our schools of Black history. But in particular, I'd like to thank my friends and neighbors, Keith and Sonny Stokes, for persevering over the years to bring to the forefront the history and the contributions and the struggles of our African American families and communities in Rhode Island. I was so honored when they asked me to present the resolution to the council to put the curriculum in the schools for 1 through 12. I think it's so important that our children recognize that our history in Newport and Rhode Island was truly diversified, and many Black families have made major advancements which improve the lives of all families in their community. We're especially proud of having the distinction of having the first Black legislator in Rhode Island and also the first Black mayor in New England, Paul Gaines. And a long history of prominent teachers and educators in our history that are in our schools and teaching every day.
Send the violation to the owner, and then we can go. And the owner
I was honored to request that local and national Black history be elevated in our school curriculums so that all young people will recognize the important role played by many Black families throughout history, and teaching our children the value of tolerance and acceptance. Again, congratulations. Thank you. I think it's going to be a major improvement across Rhode Island in teaching not only adults, but also our children the value that we truly cherish. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Napolitano. And I also want to recognize the great work and leadership of Don Mays, Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Rhode Island Black Heritage Society. So thank you, everyone, for joining us in this historic announcement. I can't think of no better way to celebrate Black History Month, but by building and advancing Black history for all students to enjoy and learn from. Thank you again, Walmart, for your generous investment. Thank you, Speaker Shekarchi, Representative Williams, for your leadership. And most importantly, I look forward to all of us working with the Rhode Island Black Heritage Society, Rhode Island College, Rhode Island, and Newport Historical Societies in advancing Black history in Rhode Island. I can assure you, our African ancestors are smiling down on all of us today in the great state of Rhode Island in recognizing this effort. So again, if there are any questions and follow-along interest, please refer to the contact information and the contact people and institutions that we'll place at the end of this presentation. Again, thank you for joining us and have a great and safe day.
Thank you.